Oh shit! I'm trashing the set already. We haven't even started yet. Holy shit! Boys and girls, start the pop with Dr. Cade and my very special guest. Check this out. We have a duo, a trio. We'll find out who that is. But we have a duo, and we are going to. No, don't hide. Yes, please hang out with us. Yes, have fun. We are going to talk Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling, and who better else? And it's a debut, if you will. Who better else to talk about Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling than one Lee Edward Miller and one JP O'Reilly? Welcome to the show, my friends. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us, Don. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really glad you're able to do this. We're on the road, so no better time than now. We say, any opportunity that we can get, no matter what we're doing, I'll take it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm just going to kick off my shoes here, get comfortable, if you will.
I wish I could do that, but I'm driving, unfortunately.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Don't do that to your friends, Mr. Miller. Don't do that. Come on now.
Thank you. Those native feet. Thank you.
Okay, before we really dive into everything, because obviously you're driving, we the fans want to know two things. Who's your cohort in the back seat? And where the fuck are you going? What's going on here?
So, our co-partner here in the back seat, this is my friend AJ.
Okay, what up, AJ? What up?
She is a filmmaker, aspiring entrepreneur of the pro wrestling sorts.
Really? I love that. I love that.
We are on our way to ICW's No Holds Barred Pit Fighter 16 in Cambridge, Massachusetts at Sonia, the Middle East venue. It's a very nice music hall venue.
Okay.
They've been fortunate enough to be the host of ICW for this is now the third show that they've done there, or they're going to be doing there. Technically fourth. They did 2 shows in one day. They're doing a tournament the last time we went. I did a whole vlogging trip with that. That was fun. It was quite the experience for one of us. Let's just say that some people can't handle certain things, and
especially when their best friend says "chug it."
And we'll just leave that where it will be.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
This will be the 4th installment of ICW's Pit Fighter at No Holds Barred at Cambridge, Massachusetts. I don't exactly know what the main event is. It looks like it's being advertised as Matt Tremont versus Akira, which I'm completely down for. But they also do have the American Deathmatch champion Brandon Kirk wrestling Neil Diamond Cutter. And Neil Diamond Cutter has not been to Boston yet for any of the ICW shows. And everyone that knows Neil Diamond Cutter knows that he is famous for coming out to Sweet Caroline. So the fact that the fans are going to hear Sweet Caroline as an entrance music for one Neil Diamond Cutter, they are going to be singing it in the heart of Boston. So if you could imagine the levels of sound that are going to break of such barriers, you may hear ICW from Boston wherever you are, because it's going to be loud as hell.
So you guys and girls are traveling all the way from Maine to Boston for this wrestling event.
Yeah, I have been to, both of us have been to every ICW show that has been in Boston. As soon as the tickets go on, the first show that they did back in April of last year, I went to go get tickets on their website the moment they dropped, and they had 3 different sections of tickets. They had general admission, they had a VIP package, and then there was one other one that involved having seats, because the rest of the show was all standing only. I logged into their website 30 seconds into them being dropped, and all of the VIP and all of the seats were gone instantly.
Wow.
They were sold. So that whole show, the first Boston show, sold out after like 3 days.
Wow.
And they were like, so when we got to that show and they started the show, they're like, yeah, we're definitely going to come back. And they came back with a tournament that they do once in a blue. Actually, do it. They've only done it twice, surprisingly, but they've been doing this for already 3 or 4 years almost. Called Battle of the Tough Guys, and they did a two-show day. One in the afternoon, one at night. This was in August of last year, and they crowned a Battle of the Tough Guys winner from last year. That was Hoodfoot. So Hoodfoot became the Battle of the Tough Guys winner. He went on to face whoever was champion at that time. Could not remember who it was, but they had a really good series of matches and stuff, and it was really good. So now we come into being the first show of 2023 in Boston for ICW. And what better day than the day after St. Patrick's Day? Because I know most of the people probably weren't able to celebrate, or they haven't started celebrating yet. So they're probably going to celebrate tonight. There's going to be also a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of different mixed emotions tonight at ICW, because just found out last night that ICW's head referee, Sean Patrick O'Brien, actually passed away. So a lot of people that probably watch, and you probably have seen their stuff as well. SPO was like pretty much like Danny DeMonte's like right hand man that came to as an official. So I think they're going to do something. I wouldn't doubt they wouldn't do anything memorial, some sort of thing for him tonight. But I think the crowd is going to be full of emotions. And I think everyone's just going to be a lot more passionate tonight than they ever have been. Not for the sake of it being a show in Boston, but for the sake of ICW's community as a whole.
I didn't have the pleasure of knowing said, and it looks like he was a beautiful human, because it, the memories of him with others spread really quick this morning. And I'm sure he was one of those special guys out there. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family and such. And I know you personally, Mr. JP O'Reilly, we've spoken on Story in the Pot before, and you are quite into the deathmatch scene, if you will. And I know it holds a dear part in your heart. And if you couldn't tell, boys and girls, my man knows the history. I can't even remember the last event I went to, and that was only last weekend. I mean, and this guy's rattling off the fucking history over here. So he knows his shit when it comes to deathmatch. If I could just ask AJ two questions. Is it AJ, like capital A, capital J? Is that how you do it?
Good. How are you? I go by Avery. That's Avery's fine.
Oh, Avery?
Yeah. AJ's
oh, okay. Okay. Second question. Have you ever been to the deathmatch scene? Because it's a totally different form. It's a totally different art form of wrestling in its own right. It's its own universe, if you will. Are you familiar with deathmatch?
Yes, I went to JP's anniversary show, and I have.
Oh yeah,
I have a cheese
grater. This cheese grater, I signed it because I promised her I was going to sign it for her. We gave it to her. It was one of the cheese graters I used in my match at the anniversary show for the show we shall not name. And she took it off the thing, and I promised I was going to sign it for her, and I haven't seen her. She's had it, but we always kept forgetting to meet up to sign it. So this was the first occurrence, because a few months ago I asked her if she wanted to come with me to the show, and she was all for it. And I told her, I'm like, this is a whole different type of experience than any other wrestling show that you would normally see anywhere else. So I think she's prepared. But also at the same time, I think she's not going to realize how much blood that there's going to be because this is ICW. There's no shortage of blood. Their first show, by the way, when they did their first show, they did it as they have two different shows. They have Pit Fighter and they have No Holds Barred. Pit Fighter is involved in the cage, and No Holds Barred is involved around the chains. They did light tubes at the first show. I don't think the venue appreciated it very much, and since that first show, the second to last show that they did not do light tubes at all. And now they're doing Pit Fighter again this time, and I don't expect them to use light tubes this time. So I was a little disappointed, but I totally understood if it had to involve with something the venue probably just didn't appreciate, because when they did that first show, I couldn't. There was two instances. We were just talking about this earlier. One of the matches was Cruel. Everybody knows Cruel. It was Cruel and Casanova Valentine. Casanova Valentine was dressed up as Freddy Krueger, which was absolutely amazing for this scenario. Yes. And he came out with he had the claw as like a gimmick, and it looked amazing. He used it. It was straight razors, like it was bloody. It was amazing. And at one point, they came out onto the outside. I'm standing hard cam side, dead center, and Cruel picked up a bundle. It had to have been a bundle of 10 tubes. And he went to throw it, and Casanova ducked halfway down, and the bottom half of it hit Casanova, and the other half of it went through him and just showered into me. And I'm just standing there with my phone recording, and I'm just like, everything is all right. I'm happy I'm here. All of a sudden, I got referee coming over, and they're like, "Yo, you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's my life. Of course I'm good. Because it's just scoured. I wish there was another angle of it, but they didn't catch it on IWTV. But there are other alternative angles of around it, and you just see a mess.
And I know you're busy. Obviously, you're driving. Could you please share that from your vantage point? Because I would personally love to see that. Not the glass getting shattered in your face. Not that you don't enjoy that shit. But I would love to see that from your vantage point. I think that would look really cool. If you could, my man.
Oh, yeah. I got a video of it somewhere. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'll open up the vault a little bit and share with us, the fans. I'd appreciate that. Mr. Miller, Mr. O'Reilly, he's been talking the history. He's been talking the whole death match. This guy is beyond amped up when it comes to the the death match scenery, if you will. You right now, I don't know if you've been hitting the devil's lettuce a little bit too much. You're laid back. You're a little bit more chill. You seem to have a love for deathmatch wrestling as well. Do you have a history of love of deathmatch as JP O'Reilly does?
It's not as deep, in all honesty. Actually, JP's the one that really got me hooked on it.
He has a couple pages in the chapter, and he can credit some bits of description to it. He has encountered a couple handful of times what I'm capable of. It's a thrill ride, that's for sure. The first time that we ever did anything, funny enough, the sight of his own blood turned him instantly just into forgetting things. We had a very nice match planned out.
It went out the window.
And as soon as he saw his blood, he didn't know where he was.
All honesty, we were out back. I was picking tacks out of my hand, and that's when I came to.
Oh, well, that sounds like it sucks, to be honest with you. That sucks.
It was when the adrenaline wore off is the worst part. That's the worst part about deathmatch wrestling.
Yes.
When the adrenaline wears off, you find things on your body that you didn't know were there. And you're like, that wasn't there before. You didn't feel it because it was just all in the moment.
Now, Now you guys are taking this road trip, and girls are taking this road trip.
Flippy, flippy.
Flippy flippies.
Hi.
We're on a toll.
Hello.
On a toll booth. I punched the gun.
I forgot to grab
punch the gun safely, my man, please. Not that I don't punch a gun, but yes, let's do it safely. Now, you guys are on a road trip. You look like you're ready for, to have a lot of fun this evening. Now, deathmatch wrestling, it's not, it's not only about bringing stuff and tearing apart each other's body. I mean, it looks like that's what it is. There really is an art form to what deathmatch wrestling is. If you could, Mr. JP, because you have a bigger heart for this, it seems, than the others in your vehicle right now. Could you describe to us like how special it is of an art form and what it kind of means to you and why you guys are traveling all the way from Maine to fucking Boston on a regular basis, mind you, to do this?
So, we've had the one-on-one that you and I had. I described the origins of how I started and everything. But to further in depth the overall passion for deathmatch wrestling to anyone, I would say. The way that the art form is with deathmatch wrestling is when there are moments that happen in deathmatch wrestling, those kind of moments are what builds somebody as a person, as a wrestler, as a worker, that when they see something magical happen, if they see something dangerous happen, if they see a key moment in a match where they realize, holy shit, this dude or woman, whoever, is an absolute star, not only because of the crazy spots, the crazy death-defying, jumps, leap from mankind scenarios, but when a fan can tell that somebody in a death match has done everything that they could to give their heart, soul, and passion to it, it just clicks. And they realize that, holy shit, this person's going to be a star one day. And a perfect example of that would be Akira. That's exactly what I was going to say. It was Akira. Akira when Akira first started, he was only doing stuff like Midwest, Deep South, like in a very small territory of places. It was when he came to ICW, the first show he ever did at ICW was the third No Holds Barred show. Correct me if I'm wrong, if it's the second or the third. I think it was the third one. He wrestled Matt Tremont. Now, anybody that knows Matt Tremont knows that Matt can build any person to be a superstar because he's just a wonderful, magical person when it comes to pro wrestling. There was a particular spot in his match with Akira. This is the first time Matt and Akira have ever worked together. At one point, Matt had a light tube. It was already broken. And he was either swinging it or it was like a direct impact of point. The bottom half of the tube that was broken jabbed right into Akira's sternum. And it created this massive fucking hole in his, right in the base of his sternum. And he was literally pouring like it was an open faucet. And this wasn't even towards the end of the match either. So this was early on or halfway through, and he's going like it didn't even bother him at all. But it was once people realized that it was there, that it clicked, and the fans started just getting louder and louder and louder. And they realized, this dude is pouring blood for us, and and he doesn't even realize it. And he knew that he didn't realize it because he was just going and going and going. It was when the match was over, he sat up and he looked down and he goes, "Oh." It was like, there's a hole in my sternum. And so he's holding it, and his hand is just pouring out of him. And he's just like, "Oh, well, this is a problem." But from that point on, everyone knew who Akira was.
Okay.
And it's moments like that build people like him. And eventually, over time, it's been person after there's been so many people that I've watched because these fans, us as fans, and people that do it, we are the people that make it feel so genuine. As it's just it's so hard to explain, but but in a way, it is easy to explain.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us, because not everybody, A, knows what deathmatch wrestling is, or B, if they've heard of it, they don't know how to perceive it because it just looks so brutal and violent. So I just kind of wanted to get a perspective from somebody who actually truly appreciates it. And I thank you for sharing your thoughts on that.
It's scary, but at the same time, it's like a thrill-seeking kind of moment. And I don't just do it for the shock factor. A lot of people ask me, why do I do death? People that aren't in pro wrestling will ask me why I do death matches, or why I do the things that I do that are involved in death matches. And some of those people, depending on who they are, I will either tell them that it's because, it's the reaction that I get from fans is, what I crave for. But if somebody in the business was to ask me, why do you do death matches? Why do you keep doing this to yourself? I would explain it in more terms that they would understand. And I would honestly can tell you that some of the most genuine, warm-hearted, welcoming people that I have ever met in pro wrestling were involved in death matches. You and I have not talked since I went to H2O. But let me tell you, when I walked into the H2O Center for the first time for Matt Tremont, it was so humbling. It was the warmest welcome that I ever gotten. There were people that never knew anything besides my name about me that were there. And these people were the guys that are regular guys in the deathmatch business, in the scene. And they're like, "Hey man, great to have you. Love to be here. Do you need anything? Can I help you with anything?" We're the most helpful dudes. These are people that I've been watching on TV, on IWTV, guys on other promotions that I've watched for years that I never met until that point. And I was so fortunate to meet these people because I knew exactly what type of people they were, because they are the most generous, most wholehearted people, because they know that what they do in this business is so different from what everyone else does, that they have a lot more respect for the people that do it, because they know what they have to go through when they are doing death matches. So when they see other people that perform it that they've never worked with, they know that they can respect those people, because there's so much more to it than just regular wrestling. So
it is, and when I describe it, I always say it's a different art form of wrestling, because there's multiple art forms, and I've spoken it with you, and I've spoken it with others who do deathmatch specifically. You guys are crazy. I'll say it again. You guys are crazy, but it's all for the love of that art form. May it be traditional wrestling, may it be deathmatch wrestling, or any other style of wrestling. I'm here for it. I mean, I don't want to go see a sternum leaking like a faucet. That's really not in my wheelhouse. I'd probably pass out like a bitch because I'm not good with blood. I really am not good with blood. I'm telling you right now.
Don, let me tell you, I've seen so much of that compared to everything that I've ever seen in my entire career. That sternum, that whole thing with Akira was minuscule compared to all the things that I've seen involving open wounds and flesh. Let me tell you.
Well, again, we all have our pick of poison when it comes to what we like and what we don't like or appreciate a little bit more than others do. So when it comes to deathmatch wrestling, especially live, like I can see some of it on tape, but when it comes to live, don't drag me in there because I am not going to be able to handle this shit. I'm dead fucking serious. So
it's a whole different vibe when you're.
I know it is.
That's the other thing. Watching it at home, even comparing regular wrestling to watching deathmatch wrestling, even at home, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, I can't watch that stuff; it's too much from a virtual perspective." But when you throw somebody in there that's never seen it live, that's what's happening here tonight. You bring home the cheese grater. She's experiencing a full entire show that's just death matches. She only witnessed my match that was like a death match. That was it. This is an entire show that is in a ring surrounded by a cage. Every single person's going to be bleeding. It's going to be an absolute mess, but it's going to be a fun mess.
Now, I didn't know we were going to be rolling on the deathmatch conversation. That really took me by surprise. As long as we have, to be honest with you. But I did see Akira, and it's only been one time live, and it was actually over at Kevin Landry's Combine in Holyoke, Mass. And it was in a traditional match, and it was for it's the only show they've had. It was called let me remember this whole name because it Gumi Heartstrong Gumi.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
I can't. I know there's something more to the name, but I believe it went by Heartstrong Gumi, something like that.
That was Jake Adams, right?
It was, and I almost want to say it was Heartstrong Gumi Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken, Pro Wrestling or something like that. I ended up making up the graphics for the event, and whenever he goes, I got one you're gonna like, and he sent me Akira, and I go, are we doing this at the Combine? He goes, no. It's going to be a little more settled down than what you think is going to happen. I go, you gave me a fucking heart attack. I'm 50 years old. At that time, I was like 50 years old. You can't do that shit to me because I will, I'll need a defibrillator. But my point being is I did see Akira live one time, and just looking at this poor motherfucker's back does not want me, my personal being does not want to be in this environment. I'm too skinny, dude. I'm too skinny.
So what's funny though is that's the best part about deathmatch wrestlers that do it all the time. Their back, the scars, everything, every little abnormal thing on their body, essentially, that's scarred over tissue. Every single piece of scar is a story about something that they did or something that happened, whether it's something they can see or something that they can't see on their body. And that's the one thing with Akira is there's so many scars, he couldn't tell you every single story of them, especially the ones on his back. But the ones that are very noticeable, he can sit there and tell you the entire story about it. And by the time he's done, or anyone, it doesn't even just be him. And that's the thing with Akira is a phenomenal pro wrestler, not just in death matches, but if it wasn't for his style of pro wrestling outside of the deathmatch scene, he wouldn't be signed to MLW right now. He's on MLW, fully signed, working right next to RSP. Like, he wouldn't have been able to get there by just doing death matches. Guys like Cruel were on MLW, and then now he does the stuff that he does now. But there are so many good professional wrestlers that come out of or go into deathmatch wrestling that not only can bleed and do crazy spots, but they can also tell a phenomenal story.
Okay.
While doing it.
I'd like to move on to our main topic, but before I do that, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, when I was really getting into independent wrestling, CZW was the one that was closest to me, the one that I saw the footage and media most of, if you will, of the deathmatch scene and some of this shit. But CZW still lives today because I know they went through some changes and whatnot. But CZW, I know.
It's a lot of changes. There's a lot of. I don't know if the facelift is an upgrade, but we'll see down the road.
CZW right now, you would know better than probably I, is not a deathmatch type company, right?
They still have death matches, but it's very tightly packed only around the theme of 2 shows now. They still do the famous Tournament of Death, which is everyone. If you know Tournament of Death, you know it's CZW.
And that's like their WrestleMania, right? If you will, that's their WrestleMania.
TOD is CZW WrestleMania, essentially. If it wasn't for TOD, you wouldn't have guys that are on TV like Jon Moxley, Sami Callihan. Oh gosh, there's so many names I can't even think of from back then. That was their WrestleMania, and then their other show that they did that was surrounded around death matches was Cage of Death. Cage of Death wasn't as famous as Tournament of Death, but Cage of Death still played a special role with CZW when it came to a lot of those big names. And that show in particular, when they came down to that main event where it was the Cage of Death, the spots that came out of those matches were probably the most death-defying, daring things you would ever see on internet wrestling ever in any form.
Well, I appreciate the info because I try to keep a pulse on stuff, and right now there is more wrestling than I think anyone in the universe can get their hand to have their eyes see it all. It's impossible. So this is why I ask these questions, because I have seen CZW go through that transition, and I know they still are doing their thing, but I know it's not the same as it used to be. So I appreciate that info. Now, we spent a good solid half hour on deathmatch talk, some history, if you will. Did not expect that at all. When I hit record on this bitch, but we did, and here we are. So, boys and girls, really why we were here, and not that I didn't mind, because I wouldn't have kept asking questions. I want to know these things. But the reason why we are here is to talk Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling. MMPW, and if I'm not mistaken, it's up yonder in Maine, where you guys derive from, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? It's up in Maine, right?
Yes.
Now, this is a debut. This is a rebirth because of, by the title, if you will. This is many a thing, and I don't know shit about the history of Matt and Muscle, because with my eyes and the face page, if you will, there seems to be history of a Matt and Muscle. So, and I'm not trying to exclude Mr. J.P. O'Reilly right now out of this conversation, but Mr. Miller, we have been talking to Mr. O'Reilly over there for 30 straight minutes.
Hey, you get into deathmatch wrestling, you can make a mini series out of it, Don.
And I'm not going to all right, I am going to compare. That's not as bad as talking to Dana Man's plastic fucking Funko Pop for 2.5 hours, but we have been talking 30 minutes with J.P. O'Reilly. Mr. Miller, why don't you give us some vital information and introduce to us, the fans, the MMPW, if you will.
Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling was just a concept, an idea of Sean Killian's school that was open. It was a bunch of us students that came together and put a show together, show 1. Built that. We were going to build for show 2, then COVID hit.
Goddamn COVID.
And if it shut us down for show 2, Nick and I, over the last year, along with Sean, have been talking about bringing it back because of certain situations.
Those that shall not be named.
We will get there one day.
One day we'll have an STP episode that goes off the rails.
And we got talking, what was the likelihood? How could we do this? Can we bring it back? One thing just started leading to another. Nick and I just every month, can we do this? Can we do that? What if we did this? What if we did that? Did we look here? What about there? Up, down, left, right, backwards, forwards, every which way possible to pull this off. And with the three of us, we are actually making Matt Muscle come back. I have said it since we posted it. Don't call it a comeback, call it a rebirth. We are going to have a stable place for certain people in Maine to have a spot.
Is there a home for Matt and Muscle? May it be a VFW or stuff like that, or will it be kind of, hopping around to different venues?
We really haven't really discussed that.
It was very difficult for us to find the venue that we have for the second show. The biggest problem with the state of Maine is there's not a lot of places, unless you own your own facility of sorts, that you can really run pro wrestling shows. And it's not because of a space thing either.
No.
Finding a place to rent out, people don't care that much about pro wrestling. It's so nitpick tight places that care about pro wrestling in the state of Maine. One being Southern Maine is always good for pro wrestling. The problem is there's not a lot of people that run pro wrestling shows in Maine are from the Southern area. So trying to find a venue in the central to northern-ish Maine area region is very near and far due to the geological, aspect of it all. I received a message one day from our co-partner, Sean Killian, and he was like, hey, I was talking to these people, and they own this gymnasium in the town that we're running the show. It's in Skowhegan. And they said that they were interested in us doing a pro wrestling event. So I asked what the price was and everything, and he told me the price of the venue, and I literally almost had a heart attack at how cheap it was. We were like, yep. As soon as we figured that out, we just started running a marathon into, all right, if we got the venue, that was the missing piece into putting this show back on a map for the last 3 years. It's been 3 years since the first ever Matt Muscle show. But the moment we found a venue, every single thing just went and clicked.
It's like dominoes, one right after another.
Now, that's actually, that's funny that you chime in, AJ, because you seemed awfully happy. No, come back. There you are. Now, you seemed awfully happy when Mr. Miller started talking about, how it started and then COVID and blah, blah, blah. And you were kind of cheering in the background. Have you seen Matt and Muscle since the beginning, and that's why you're happy to see it come back?
No, actually. I met JP. I met JP last year when I started at the job that we worked at together. And he would always come in covered in scars and tell me about shopping carts he's taken to his spine. And I was like, and then he started showing me the clips, and I just became such a huge fan of it too. So I'd go in and watch shows with him.
I eventually showed her the Matt and Muscle. I have the entire Matt and Muscle, the first show, Breaking the System, all in its entirety. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm sorry. It's everything but 2 matches in its entirety on our YouTube channel, Matt Muscle Pro Wrestling, MMPW.
Okay.
There were 2 matches that didn't make the cut due to editing problems and post-production issues. But the general sense of the entire show is on there, and I was showing her clips, and she became very interested in it, became a fan of it. AJ here, she is actually going to be our film photographer, videographer for the show. So the people, for the fans that'll be there in attendance or watch when we post the videos online, they will see her doing ringside videography for the show.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta connect on your face page, if you will, so I can stalk follow your page and check your stuff out. And I wanna follow your stuff. So please, let's connect. Post, interview or what have you. But you got caught up in this wrestling thing here, and now you're really. It seems very interesting. And you're starting to get a little bit deeper than a regular fan would. Doing the drives with the guys, heading out to fucking Boston from Maine. That just blows my mind for wrestling. I mean, I've done plenty of drives, and I was doing 15 shows a month for a long time. And I just had to pull everything back. If there's anything like more than an hour and a half, I just want to curl up in the fetal position. I'm like, I don't want to drive that fucking far anymore. But
Wait. Where did you first meet me?
That's a whole different story.
Holy
Hey,
man, that's a 6-hour drive.
I got that. But you were working, my man. You were working, okay? That was only an hour drive for me. So,
Are you telling me that you aren't going to come up to Maine in any form of capacity for any Matt Muscle Pro Wrestling content?
It's 5 hours away, man.
I drove 6.
I walked here.
You're also saying...
Actually, it's probably 6 because I'm thinking of where my destination started last time. It is probably like 6 from here.
You also have to realize that there's a significant age difference between the two.
It took him to stop, take his nap.
I'll do you guys this. My dad is from Madawaska, Maine. His whole family.
Oh, that's way farther than where we are.
Way up there.
That's way up there.
Canada's like that far from fucking Madawaska.
Call up to camp.
So if I mention something about, hey, Pop, you've seen me go up to Maine previously. Now, why don't we maybe take a road trip, head up there, we can grab a room or something, stay overnight and do some wrestling up in Maine. I think the old man would dig it. So let me pass it by the old man. Let's see what happens. And I'll do you guys at least that. But for me to take a solo drive up to Maine for Matt and Muscle, for the sighting of any other top wrestler that I would ever want to see in my entire life, it wouldn't even matter because I am not taking that ride solo.
You tell me who you want to see, and we'll make something happen in the future.
My guy is down Morocco. You can't do that for me. So it is what it is, right? Mr. Miller, let's talk about now. Is the event called Rebirth?
Yes.
Okay. Could you give us maybe a couple matches? Maybe rip off 2 matches off of the card, and then maybe we can go over to Mr. O'Reilly and have him rip off a couple. Maybe do a little. Oh wait, is he leaving?
No, we're at a toll booth.
I thought he was getting out of the car while you guys were driving. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I didn't have enough of the money at the.
All right, I thought you were bailing shit, dude.
Yep. We've got Beavers.
Yes. So yeah,
Jason. Wow.
I think somebody's been smoking a little bit too much before this interview started. So far, we've announced 3 matches. Ward Cup.
The Seawolves,
Yes.
which is Dylan Nix and Levi Spade, versus Ike the Bite.
And Mr. Hard Work himself, Barnaby Coates.
Hard work.
Hard work.
I know I giggled at Ike the Bite, but I mean, come on, that name is just that gives you a little tickle every time anyone says it. It just gets me. So you've got this card that's building, and you're releasing the matches little by little up to up to the event. All right, I can appreciate that as a fan. You don't want to just spit them all out. You want to, build them up and whatnot. I can feel that. All right. Now, are we at Matt and Muscle and the matches themselves? Are we looking for a little more aggressive than traditional wrestling? Because you guys here and girls, you have a little flavor for some Pringles being deathmatch here. So does that get incorporated into Matt and Muscle, or is it more of a traditional thing here?
The hardcore stuff will come later on when needed in a storyline. It's not going to be every show.
That's what he is. Let me put it in an easier term.
Someone's gonna die.
No, actually, no. A complete opposite from that. A lot of the aspect of things that I do are going to be very, very much more tame than what I'm used to doing, specifically for Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling, because we want Matt and Muscle universally to be a show for everyone, no matter what flavor of ice cream it is.
Okay.
I want if you just give them one ice cream, maybe the kids won't like that ice cream. Maybe the moms won't like that ice cream and if the moms and the kids don't like that ice cream, the moms and kids aren't going to come back, and that means that money's out the window. So, in a moral sense, the more tamer I keep it, I feel the better that the fans aren't going to want to leave if I just start full blown, if I just bell rings and we just start throwing gusset plates at each other for fun and just start bleeding like we're inside of a meat factory. But it's going to be very, very tame. I can't say what I'm doing yet because it hasn't been announced yet, but I think it'll be something that everyone will enjoy, not just for the aspect of what people would assume that I would be doing, but more or less in the sense that people involved. Mm-hmm. That's where I would leave that.
I think one of the bigger matches that we've announced that people are under expecting and underappreciating is Alan Prophet versus Montero.
Mike Montero.
Okay. So I love me some Montero.
I love me some Montero. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something, Don. Everyone's gonna know, people that know Mike Montero from the wrestling perspective know what he is capable of. This is the type of dude that you can literally find at any wrestling show. It doesn't matter what show he's on, whether it's in Massachusetts, if it's in Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, it does not matter. He will put on a spectacle like any other, and it doesn't matter who he's working with, but I know that the people that come to our show, that I know we're going to have a lot of first-time people coming to our show as wrestling fans. I guarantee that they will see Mike Montero perform and will be absolutely blown away. The other factor that they have to put in, too, and this is for the local aspect of the fans, is one Mr. Alan Prophet, who, to me, we've had our history through. If anyone knows Maine's wrestling history within the last 4 or 5 years alone. They know that me and Alan have had quite the spectacle of matches for sure. But what people don't understand is that they misread how they see Alan Prophet as a wrestler. And I don't think that they know what Alan Prophet is truly capable of until he is given somebody that can pull the best out of him. And I think personally, Mike Montero is going to pull the absolute best out of Alan Prophet when it comes to a professional wrestling match. I can guarantee that.
Well, I mean, we've already kind of touched upon it. I'm assuming I will not be at that show. So for me personally, I can't wait to see the video footage that comes out of this, AJ. I am looking so forward to seeing the video footage.
I'll make a call to a certain referee that's behind you.
In pillow art
He'll
form.
be here.
That's a slam buddy. He says I stole it. Buddy. Yeah, he says I stole it. He stands by those words. I found it. God darn it. I found the damn thing. He says I stole it. But that's neither here nor there.
He was going to go to the grave with that on you. Whether you go from this earth first or he does, he will either be at your funeral or you'll be at his, and his last words are going to be like, you stole it.
He also, because I have a Q shirt, a Q Nation shirt, he also says that I stole that. But again, I found it. But he says that it was sitting in his bag. And I go, I didn't know that was your bag. He goes, it had a gigantic Q on it. I go, I thought that was a letter O. That's my bad. So, that's where we're at with all of, that stuff. But the talent, some of the talent you guys have mentioned, and I'm going to kind of stick in the state of Maine here, are out of the Limitless Dojo, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct on saying, right?
Yes.
Now, do you...
95% of our local talent from the state of Maine is all through the Limitless Dojo. And that is where you're going to find the best up-and-coming pro wrestlers that are out there to make their name. Some of these guys are doing drives today, actually, right now as we speak, down to Massachusetts for some shows. And they're pushing themselves very hard to like what I used to do when I first started 7, 8, 9 years ago. God, it's been that long. I just had a moment there. They're pushing themselves further. There's some that could push themselves a little bit farther and they choose not to, and that's what it is. It's life. But I think you are going to find that the people that are coming out of the Limitless Dojo, the biggest theme, I want to say the difference in what we are doing compared to what I would love to see most wrestling shows do, and that as a fact for pro wrestling in Maine in general, is we're putting local guys against up-and-coming guys from the New England area, from the Northeast, soon to possibly expand farther than that, and basically showcasing what the best of Maine can do against the best around the world.
Now, let's stay on this topic. Because me personally, this is just my opinion, and I know that some places do it to draw the people, to sell the tickets, to put asses in the seats, is get a bigger name, if you will, onto said card to draw the fans in. Now, me personally, again, my own opinion, I don't feel it's necessary. What you were saying, and as you were saying it, I just got fucking goosebumps because I have been saying that for years and years since I've been in it. Not too many years. I've only been in indie wrestling for about 7-ish years. So that's always been my thought. I don't need to see a big name on the card to go to the show because I'm going to go to the show anyways to see this talent that I want to see up and coming. And I loved as you were saying this because it was said perfectly. That's my jam. That's the shit I'm all about. I don't need, and this is to take nothing away from any specific name, but I just have to use, I'm just going to use him for an example. A guy like Sandman coming in. I don't need a name for me to be drawn in. That's, my point. And I like that you guys personally, and you've just spoken those words, are doing that with Matt and Muscle. And that seems to be your focus is the local talent trying to do the key word, boys and girls. Showcase the goddamn talent that we have around here up and down this eastern seaboard because it is so flourishing. There is so much great talent. And I know there's a lot of amazing talent across the rest of this country. And we talk about them. But across the eastern seaboard, boys and girls, there's a lot of hidden gems. Many that I don't even know the names of or have never seen. Because I can't keep my eyes, as we were saying before, not only just on the promotions, but the wrestlers that make up these promotions. It takes a lot of fucking people to do this stuff. So I see new guys and girls all the time. So my whole point, again, it was a little long-winded, but my whole point, and piggybacking what Mr. O'Reilly said, showcasing the local talent. And I think that might be the title of this episode. Showcasing the local talent. I love that shit. That's in my heart. And that's why I go to the test of strengths and I go to the PAPWs and I go to these schools that are producing students right in front of my eyes. And I get to see them hone their craft, hone their character, hone their presence, hone their look, hone the way they come out the curtain year after first year, after the second year, and see the differences and see how they react to the crowd and the crowd reacts to them and see how their career just changes. That's what I love. I don't care about all the hiccups. I don't care about all the oh shits and all of that stuff. That doesn't bother me none. So that is my jam, and I really appreciate that Matt and Muscle is kind of using that as a kind of an in-home kind of thing, And I didn't mean to get all long-winded on that, but I really appreciate that as a fan.
We want that. That's what we want. We want to be able to showcase the locals and what Maine is building. We want. There are a couple hidden gems in the dojo, and they just need that one spot, that one opportunity to explode. And when Nick brought that to my attention, that we don't have that spot, that was the ground base for the rebirth.
Now, do you guys, and I know I'm getting a little behind the scenes, but it's just things that I'm curious of as I've been going to wrestling, because when a promotion starts, I just kind of, and if I can talk to the guys and girls that are running said show or whatever first time, I love going, and I know this is not really the first time, but I love going to debuts and such and getting and picking the brains of the promoters and whatnot. Do you guys own your own ring, or is this something that you'll be, a ring rental will be incorporated into this? How is that working for you guys?
Do you mind if I'm sorry? I just got really excited about something. Totally off track. So our ring originally, we had a ring that we were going to use that is, I would say, notorious to the pro Maine wrestling scene.
Yeah.
That is very infamously and famously known to be used in a lot of different timelines of pro wrestling, not just in Maine, but also in the WWE as well. It has a lot of history. It's a very old ring, and unfortunately, it's so old that
He's a stiff bitch.
He's a stiff bitch.
Now,
So,
if I'm thinking of the ring that you're speaking of, does this specific ring, does it have a lot of those cross beams that go this way and then a lot of the cross beams that go that way, right?
yes.
Okay.
It was actually a boxing ring at one point. Thank you.
Yes.
It was a boxing ring. Hold on to that phone.
Hold it.
We're going through another toll booth. Toll booth number 4.
Peanut cover.
Jesus. So this ring, I was having a lot of anxiety when we were putting the show together that it revolved around the ring, because the most important part of a professional wrestling show is the ring. I just had a lot of doubts in my mind, and every time I thought about it, I'm like, what if this doesn't work? What if we don't have this? What if
this slips?
What if this goes? What if this breaks? What if that falls apart? I'm like, I was having none of it. Whenever I thought about it, looking at my expense sheet and just looking at the word ring, I'm like, I shouldn't have to worry about this specific thing, especially when it was going to be given to us for free.
Oh, wow.
That was the big factor of wanting to use it initially, was we're going to run a pro wrestling show with a free ring. But on the downside, it was, we're going to run a pro wrestling show with a free ring that, may or may not work in our favor. So we decided to change that course. So now at this moment, currently, I want to give the biggest shout out in the entire world to Crown of Maine Pro Wrestling. Crown of Maine is a show that runs way up. You were talking about how your dad is Madawaska, and that you think that that's up there. We're talking the crown. We are talking the tip. We are talking the tip of Maine. Deep north in the town of Van Buren, Maine, there is a pro wrestling show that is run by a man by the name of Vaughn Taggart. He runs wrestling shows that help a lot of local communities in the northern Maine region. He does fundraiser shows. He does a lot of support stuff, not just in a wrestling aspect, but in other ways too. Crown of Maine runs about, I want to say, 4 to 5 times a year, where they do a big show. And the last show that I did there for them, they had a wonderful crowd. They had a good amount of sponsors. They filled this room up with people. Very nice, small little community center, but they fill in this room with people, made it look very nice. And I have tons of respect for Crown of Maine because they make sure that their talent is taken care of.
Yes.
They make sure that we have what we need when we get there. They make sure we have what we need when we leave. They respect what we do. They respect what I do. They brought me in solely just based on the fact that I do crazy hardcore stuff. And when I started doing it there, I kept asking Vaughn, I was like, are you okay if I do this? Are you okay if I bleed in this ring? This ring. So traditionally, most of the high boy rings that are pretty tall, at most wrestling, you've been to a lot of wrestling shows, Don, so you've seen every size of ring that there ever has been. This ring, to this day, I've wrestled for probably almost 24 promotions in my 8 years. This is the tallest fucking ring that I've ever been in my goddamn life. Okay?
It's not like
This ring from the floor to the canvas, I have to prop I'm 6'2". I'm above average height.
Above average.
6'2", 320 pounds. I have to push myself up on it like a kid in a booster seat to sit on the apron. So you could imagine taking a tumble from, that was a cop. You could imagine taking a tumble from laying on the canvas to the floor is just as hurtful as it is from just taking a standard bump. Like, go imagine doing a battle royal in this ring. You have the ropes at normal average height, but the rope height the difference between the rope height from the top to the bottom compared to the canvas to the floor is a big, significant difference.
It's like an extra foot and a half.
Compared to whatever the tallest that I thought I was ever in, add another foot and a half to that. Wow. And this ring, it's a very nice, very, very clean, very sturdy ring. The one downside that I don't like about it is that the ropes are cables. That gets a little rough once in a while when you keep hitting those one time over and over. It can leave a pretty nasty mark on you, but other than that, I love this ring. It has a beautiful bump to it. It looks clean.
Beautiful sound.
Beautiful sound.
And he's letting you bleed in it.
I was very surprised. This canvas is like navy blue, so I'm like, Vaughn, are you sure you want me to bleed in this ring? And he said, yeah, go for it. He does not care what I do in that ring, and I love him for it. I respect him for it. He respects me. And like I said, I kept asking him, like, are you okay if I do this? Are you okay if I do that? And he looks at me and goes, you can do whatever you want, man. I don't care. And the last show that I did for him, I was supposed to wrestle this douche nozzle over here, but he decided to fart on his pillow and get pink eye.
Oh, yeah, I had pink eye. Bullshit. It was a pimple in my fucking tear duct.
He got pink eye.
It was a pimple in my tear duct. My eye swelled shut.
So he got it replaced because he couldn't eat. His whole entire face was swelled up. And I wrestled Alan Prophet. And the finish to that match was me sending Alan Prophet into a pile driver through 6 chairs while standing on the chairs. When I hit the chairs, the reaction from the crowd, from the non-wrestling fans compared to the wrestling fans, were pretty much equal as like, what the fuck did this man just do? And when I did this, I was facing the promoter, Vaughn. I was facing him when I landed. And I watched this man jump 6 feet out of his chair, and he legitimately thought I killed the poor kid. And then I pin him, I roll him out, and I cut a promo and whatever. I come out back. And Vaughn comes out back, and he just grabs me by the shoulders, and he goes, that was absolutely fucking amazing. I can't believe you fucking did that. So he has a lot of respect for what I do. And I messaged him and I gave him an offer, and we agreed upon an agreement to work together. And Crowd of Maine Wrestling will be supplying their ring 4-hour event. And to the fans that have never seen this ring, when they see the people perform inside of it, you are going to see the actual cliche statement of larger than life characters from wrestling. Because they're going to look freaking ginormous.
At least you guys have that covered now. So that's a big, big plus when it comes to running the event. Like you guys were saying, one of the most, and probably, if not the most important piece of the entire event, probably besides the venue and the workers. And no. But you guys are traveling. This is pleasure on this end of it. And we're talking business with the Matt and Muscle. So I'm going to continue that before we let you guys go on your road trip here. Now, Matt and Muscle, is this a monthly running promotion? Is it a bi-monthly? Is it 4 times a year? What is the schedule?
Holy fucking line of cops.
Oh! Hang on, hold the phone there, Don. We're watching 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a funeral.
Oh.
There's just a line of cop cars on 95 going north, and we're in, I think we just hit Massachusetts. That was out of nowhere.
I thought we were gonna have a spontaneous fucking episode of Cops with you
We're
guys.
gonna
Holy shit.
Let's see if we can get to the venue before they pull us up.
Wow, that would have been a first on STP.
To answer your question, details coming soon.
Okay.
We're gonna see how this first show plays out. There are a lot of specific certain factors that need to play out with this event that are solely out of our hands because of the situation of where we are, the location, and being of what we're doing. That it all depends on how this show goes and how it plays out. But from what I can predict, I can possibly, for now, see this being an every other month of show, at least for the rest of this year.
Okay.
And if it works out in our entirety of the goals that we have and what we want to do, I pray and hope that by 2024 we can have this be a monthly running thing, so that at that point you will have another consistent monthly basis show to enjoy on top of the already great main pro wrestling shows that occur in the state. One being of a Let's Wrestle, Limitless Wrestling, North Atlantic Wrestling Association. Those being the very concurrent, but the other ones being the most concurrent of monthly wrestling shows that already occur. Crown and Main runs their shows every 3 or 4 months respectively, because that's what they are able to do. And they're also very, very, very far out of the way compared to where all the other promotions are.
Okay.
Where we are as a location and geographical points compared to the other shows in Maine, we are probably in the most perfect, right in the middle place for everyone to come and enjoy wrestling, no matter where they are coming from in the state. Whether they're coming as far as Augusta, the capital, or as far north as Anahuasca.
Well, it looks like you guys have a good handle on things. You guys seem very excited. You guys wearing the merch. I'm glad to see you already have the merch rolling, and I know the show's not too far away. So before I do let you guys go, Mr. Miller, could you please hit us with the details of the show, the name of the company, the name of the event, the date, the location, all of the. He probably don't remember, so that's why I'm asking him.
Yeah, I mean, I already know the answers, but
all right. We'll go to. I wanted to see him stumble. What the fuck?
I'm trying to save the man over here. They're all on the bottom of that recent graphic. All right, struggling over here.
Shut up. All right. The company is Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling. It is our company. The date is April 8th. It is in Skowhegan, Maine, on the space on the river at 181 Water Street.
All right.
Doors are at 5:30. And double check.
I'm an early show kind of man.
Okay.
Although I think I kind of like teetered myself a little bit once I realized like the time that I put. I'm like, maybe show 2 we'll push it back maybe a half hour. But I'm like, I didn't realize how early, and I'm just like, but we're old. We're old. He's 34. I'm turning 28. We're old.
Maybe that'll be the title of this episode. Maybe that'll be the title of this episode. We're old. Maybe we can use that for a title.
We're old.
How much are tickets, my man?
Tickets are $20.
Okay.
And that's straight across the board, general admission, every seat. We are not reserving seats.
First come, first serve at the door, or you can contact me on my Facebook at Nicholas Russell to either pay me through any source of third-party app for a ticket, and we also have a website. A lot of pro wrestling shows don't do that quite often, especially ones around here. A website, you can go to mattmuscleprowrestling.com. You can get tickets at the website through PayPal. You can get them directly through me. You can get them at the door. Like I said, first come, first serve. We are not a lot of things that people do, and this typically tends to be a trend in Maine pro wrestling, is some of our fans, because they know us, think that if they ask for tickets but don't wait to pay until the day of the show, that will hold them for them. That is not the case here. We will be only giving tickets to people that pay for the tickets. We will not be reserving and holding X amount of tickets for anyone. If you want to pay for them at the show, then you have to wait until the show to be able to pay for them if they're available. We will not be holding tickets. It's a big gripe in Maine wrestling.
On top of that, Maine fans have gotten used to the fact that there's a certain group. How do I say this? There's a certain group that go to every show, and when they go to every show, they're expecting to have the same cert reserved.
Okay.
Same reserved.
Same position, same area of a front row. Basically, they won't take any other seat. They have to sit in a specific corner. That some pro Maine wrestling fans are very nitpicky about where they sit.
Your face was my reaction.
So like that would be like if you and like Mike Evenable or I forget what his name is. Guys like
Fogman.
Yeah. Foggy, yeah. So like if you guys went to every show that you guys go to together and demanded that the promoter puts you in a specific spot in the front row every single show, every single time, that's the kind of scenario that you see up here.
And we are not doing that.
We aren't doing that.
We are the first company that's going to buck that.
That seems to be an awful stressful thing, the reserving and the whole thing. You've already got enough, because we know, boys and girls, well, not we, they know how hard it is, and it takes a village to get all of this shit together and make one event for once a year. It takes a village and a lot of moving parts, never mind doing it multiple shows throughout the year. So I applaud you guys, because it just seems like that'll take a little bit less stress off of your shoulders, and the keeping track of and all of that stuff. So you don't even have to worry about that. You're just nipping it right now. F that, and I applaud you guys for doing that as promoters. Now you gave us the Matt and Muscle. Now, before we do let you go, is there anything we haven't talked about, Matt and Muscle, that you guys, either of you or AJ for that fact, would like to bring to the table about Matt and Muscle that we haven't spoken upon?
Just trying to think. Yeah, because depending on whenever this episode goes out, this still works out. Today, okay, so no, that's fine. It'll be this match, and I'll put one match announcement out that's supposed to go out on Wednesday of the next coming week. We are going to have a scramble.
Okay.
Now, I'm a big fan of scrambles because they can go in a lot of different directions, and one of the best shows I love watching that does scrambles is Game Changer Pro Wrestling. Game Changer does a lot of the downside is it's always the majority of the same people, which kind of stinks, but you never see the same match happen twice. And they put on these spectacles that you will never see anywhere else. We are gonna have a 5-man scramble, and I was so confident in my head who was in it up until this very moment in time.
Yeah. You say I don't need to look.
Yeah, and I'm the sober one here.
Oh wow.
So we'll officially put this out here now as the 5-way scramble. We are gonna have Limitless Wrestling Dojo students, Donkey Boy Bandit, the Belfast, Jesus Christ, the Belfast Bulldog. Yeah, the Belfast Bulldog, Dave Dyer.
Let's do.
Jason Maverick.
Oh.
Jason Maverick and Big Cat. Four of these members of Limitless Dojo. And then the 5th member of the scramble will be 1/4 of the Dirt City Murder Crew, Jamie Tucker.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I think when we think about this, if we break it down here a little bit, 4 out of 5 of these men know each other very, very, very well. Mm-hmm. One of them doesn't know anything about any of the other 4. So a regular wrestling fan would put 2 and 2 together to think, this is not going to play a factor for one of them. But you will be very surprised as to, even though 4 of them all live in the same home, their home tends to be broken a lot.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I see things breaking down as quickly as John Cena and DX in a 3-way.
Yes.
I see that breaking down as quick as that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That was a hell of an analogy. Holy shit. We had a fine half-hour conversation about the art form of deathmatch and the passion, some of the history. And for another almost hour, we've been talking Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling up in Maine. They're having a big show coming up. We've been promoting all of the stuff. Not only that, boys and girls, there was a match announced right here on STP, that 5-way scramble with which one is different than the other in this one, because there's four that kind of have some knowledge, and then there's one that really doesn't. So we're going to have to see how that all plays out. You've given us some digital interwebs information on how to get tickets and where to find Matt and Muscle. Could you continue before we let you go? How do we connect with JP O'Reilly? How do we connect with Lee Edward Miller? And if so, and she wants to jump on board here, how do we connect with AJ over there? Is there a Twitter, a face page? Is there a Pornhub somewhere? Where can we get you guys? How do we find? No, not like all together. Your own separate Pornhubs. But yeah, hit us with some details and let us, the fans, know where we can find you guys.
I'll start with you. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so my Pornhub is my Twitter, Facebook, it's all under Avery Joan Faust. I'm a filmmaker and an entrepreneur actress, and I'm their hype woman for today, and I just want to help them out.
She's also vlogging our day, because the last show that we did for ICW, I did a vlog for the whole show. I could not post the vlog publicly because there were a lot of activities that occurred during the trip aspect of that was filmed that were not able to be shown to a public eye. Okay. Don, if you ever want to see that video, I will send you a file to see it directly. It's not on Pornhub. It is only on my Google Drive. Okay. I couldn't show it to the public because some people decided to make horrible decisions during the last ICW event that we did.
All right.
Somebody was convinced to do horrible decisions in the last ICW trip, and it was quite interesting.
By the reaction of all three of you, I feel that I kinda now have to see said footage. So
I will make that happen.
What the hell? Why not, boys and girls? Let's have some fun with that. AJ, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you via Skype. An absolute pleasure. I thank you for hanging out and dealing with the silliness. You look like you're going to have a hell of a time. I want to also wish you the best on the pursuit of everything you've got going on right now, because you do have a lot on your plate, the acting and the video stuff, and you got a lot going on right now, and probably whatever else. So I applaud you for all of that. It was a pleasure meeting you. I thank you so much. Hopefully one day we can meet live face to face, and that would be a blast.
Yeah, if you came up for a show.
Yeah, if you get your ass up here, Don. Make it happen.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks, AJ. That was awesome. Now, the two of you, please hit us with some deets before we let you go, so we can find you guys.
You first.
My Facebook, Lee Edward Miller. It will pull me right up, no problem. You put that in Instagram, it will pull up my Instagram. If you go to TikTok, it's Lights Out 207. And then my Twitter is Lights Out 207.
All right, easy enough.
You can find me under JP O'Reilly on my Facebook. My TikTok is JP O'Reilly. My Twitter is JP O'Reilly 95, I believe. It'll pop up. TikTok and my Instagram is JP O'Reilly. Pretty much JP O'Reilly all across the board. I keep my Snapchat private, but those are all the rest of my socials for that. Oh, and you can also find us on YouTube. You can find on YouTube our Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
If you literally type in Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling, you will find everything we have posted there from our first ever show. You will also see a lot of behind the scenes clips on that channel from back in the Sean Killian school days. You'll see a bunch of videos of him. There's a bunch of stuff of them just doing a lot of different moves. A lot of Sean used to film everyone doing a lot of specific type of moves, and he used to just throw them up on YouTube, and they happened to just be under the Matt Muscle Pro Wrestling page. I didn't want to take them down because they were history. They were kind of like, it's like a part in history of time where that was before. Oh, oops! I gotta turn that back on. It was a moment in time before Matt and Muscle the show came to be. Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling was built off of all of these little short clips that you will discover on that channel, and if it wasn't for those small little clips, you would never see what the beginning stages of Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling was.
Well, as a curious fan, I'll take a look-see. I'll mosey on over to the old YouTube page and check out stuff. I'll check out everything you've got over there, except for probably the Lee Miller stuff. We'll probably just keep going by that stuff.
What's funny though is I'm pretty sure the most popular video on the page, I think, involves him anyways.
I think it's the Hammerlock pile driver.
It's a Hammerlock pile driver, and it has like 6,000 views or something. It's so random.
Oh, wow.
The algorithm is weird.
It is. It's very odd. You guys have been awesome, and girls. We've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of laughs. We've had some history with Matt and Muscle Deathmatch. We've talked a plenty of both. And you guys are awesome, and I can't wait to see what the future of Matt and Muscle brings both of you guys, and see collectively how everything starts really coming together. Hopefully, that's what we will see, because that's what we want. When promotions, get rolling, we want to wish them luck. We want to see them success. We want the perseverance, because we always talk about it. Wrestling is one hard son of a bitch to persevere in. Never mind running a company. You guys are fucking mental. I wish you guys the best of luck on that, and hopefully we see more and more of Matt and Muscle in front of our eyes. And I wish you guys all the luck with everything Matt and Muscle right now.
Don, I thank you very much for taking this time. Like, I'm glad we're able to do this, even while we're on the road right now. Pro wrestling. I feel like I'm doing a Bob Evans, doing a Bob Evans Facebook Live scenario right now.
Well, the only time I've talked to Uncle Bob is when he was on the road. And it was nighttime, so I didn't even see his face the entire fucking time. It was just me and him.
There's some content.
We were just shooting the shit. He was in the dark. I was not. I don't even know
and
what the hell he was.
Voice in the background of a dark entity.
Yeah. So we do have to reconnect with Uncle Bob in the daytime. We absolutely have to do that and reconnect with Uncle Bob. All three of you have been absolutely a gem today. We had a lot of fun. And the information that was given and all of that good stuff. You guys were very, very cool with everything that you talked about and gave us, the fans, today. And I can't appreciate it enough. And again, good luck with everything, Matt and Muscle, and good luck with the event today. And I know you guys will have a blast because you already know it seems with these three together, they don't do nothing but have a lot of fun, and they're going to do something that they all seem to enjoy, and that's what wrestling is all about. I don't care what the environment is. That is exactly what wrestling is all about, my friends. That's why we go to wrestling, to get away and do our thing. We speak about it all the time here on STP. Any closing moments by any of you three before we totally let you guys go? Because I want to make sure that we've got it all out, because I don't want to let you go and then all of a sudden, holy shit, we should have said that.
Don.
Yes.
You said fuck you.
Oh my God. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guests, if you will. We've got one Lee Edward Miller. We've got one JP O'Reilly. And now, is it Avery or do I call you AJ? I'm so confused.
No, I'm Avery Joan Faust.
Okay.
I'm a filmmaker.
Okay.
I'm being
Avery.
kidnapped, please.
Please send help for Avery. Please send help. You guys have been fantastic. Have an amazing time tonight.
We will. We're about 31 minutes en route. We're stuck in the deadbeat traffic of Route 1 in the middle of Massachusetts. Probably a good idea of what we're talking about.
Can I go home?
There's no turning back on this one-way trip.
Thank you for your time. You guys have been awesome today.
Take care, Don.